Boom.
And it wasn't easy. It was traumatizing.
In January 2025, Joy Taylor was named in a 42-page workplace misconduct and sexual harassment lawsuit filed against Fox Sports by a former network hairstylist by the name of Sean Maraji. Outside of accusing Skip Bayless of wrongdoings, the lawsuit also included the following: that Joy Taylor had sexual relationships with FS1 Executive Vice President Charlie Dixon and co-host Emmanuel Acho to advance her career.
Of course she
The
did.
lawsuit also included an incident when Charlie Dixon appropriately touched her, Faraji, at a party, and Taylor dismissed the complaint and told her to get over it. Huh? At the time, Joy Taylor strongly denied the claims. But by the time July 2025 came, she was. Joy Taylor's career and reputation was pretty much in the trash. And recently she's come out to discuss this on Michael Irvin's The White House podcast. And well,
I'm glad you brought it up because it really was something that meant a lot to me. It was a really tough day coming in the day after all of the news dropped. And Michael stood up after the show was over and said a lot of very nice things on set. Actually, it wasn't in the meeting, it was on set. And it meant a lot to me that he did that. And it wasn't easy. It was traumatizing, honestly.
so what she's saying here is that the experience was traumatic. She's not saying that she didn't do any of those things. She's not saying that she's not guilty. All she's saying is that the experience was traumatic and it was really hard for her to go through. And she would continue.
You get through it, and I do resonate with not being the same. I can't be the same. I think when you go through certain things in life, you kind of like DNA level change. It forces you into a space of survival mode that it kind of rewires how your brain works. You just never really feel as safe in the world as you did before. And I've been through a lot of very, very crazy things. I've had people try to kill me, like with their bare hands. I've been in a lot of really bad situations. And all those things changed me too. But there's something about going through something publicly that really doesn't, you can't go back.
Again, we're talking about the stress.
What's up to everyone in the chat room?
Because she still had to work.
Just a Contrarian. You can ask me questions.
Knowing that these allegations.
But I will be watching YouTube as we live stream.
Saying that things have never been the same, but she's never challenging these allegations, saying that they're simply not true. If it was me, and if these allegations were not true, I would come out and say, number one, this was terrible. I lost my job, and one of the reasons why I lost my job is because these allegations were not true. I didn't sleep my way to the top of Fox Sports.
Of course she did.
It's just not true.
She's not talented.
I never had anything to do with Charlie Dixon. But not only did Charlie Dixon have the Faraji complaint, he also had a complaint from Julie Stewart Brinks about sexual misconduct. And he was fired in April 2025. However, Joy, we got some receipts.
These hypotheticals have got us in a chokehold, and we must free ourselves. It's fun to argue about. It's fun to talk about what you would do in this scenario, or would you leave the game if the seats were high, or if a man took you this place on a first date, what you would do. And I'm telling you, like, every interaction that I have with people now, in some way or another, these things come up. Can we just keep it above?
Yeah, let's keep it above. You're right. Go on.
If they're fine enough, if they're funny enough, or if their financial status is what you want. Fine, funny, money. You're throwing all boundaries, standards, all that you talked on Instagram about how you would never, and this woman ain't kicked because women this and men this, and you're moving forward with this person.
Now, guys, this was just right before the lawsuit happened, I believe. And she's saying that a lot of folks say what they won't say, but people will throw their standards away for the right person. If they have enough money,
You mean she
they have
would?
enough looks,
She's
they have
projecting.
enough personality, they will throw all of those standards away. And if she's insinuating that
She
somebody else will do that, then guess what? She will do that.
Right.
So it's very possible to believe that Joy Taylor was engaging in this same behavior.
Yep.
Now, in front of Michael Irvin, she's sitting around acting like she's a victim, like nothing happened to her, like it was innocent. But no, you were basically out there clapping, and if it meant that you could clap your way to the top, you were willing to do so because it's all about you. But here's the problem.
I don't even find her attractive, but I guess.
No matter how many connections or advances you get, whether it's because you
Sure, she
know
was probably
somebody
pretty like
or you clap
12
your way
years
to
ago.
the top, there is something that no network
She looks like a
can
middle-aged woman that's
accept,
still trying to
and
hold
that
on
is
to
low
her
ratings, okay?
her
And
beauty,
that is exactly what
but failing.
Blubbering cave with Liberty Biggity. It's bundle and save on insurance with Liberty Mutual. Okay, let's do another take.
What do you want me to say?
The line. Say the line.
Oh, that's easy.
Libbity
The
bibbity.
line.
Okay, let's pick it up tomorrow.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 Liberty.
all those in favor of storming this cove and taking this ship. Stop!
I'm so far behind. I didn't even know there was another Assassin's Creed out.
Available on July 9th.
Got GTA 6, a new Assassin's Creed. I've never played any of these games, by the way. God of War, didn't play that either. No, wait. Hold on. I did play GTA, my fault. I played GTA 2. I may have played GTA 3, but on other people's consoles, not my own. I haven't owned a video game console since classic Nintendo, and I'm buying a mini classic Nintendo right now.
China's driverless vehicles will map our neighborhoods, our military bases, and our critical infrastructure.
Although I'll probably wait till I go back overseas to do it.
What Joy Taylor produced. Low ratings. Nobody largely cared about her opinion on sports.
Exactly. No one cares about her opinion. Just like no one cared about that porn star's opinions on sports.
Alongside with Keyshawn Johnson and Paul Pierce also got canceled.
They just put her on there for eye candy. No one gives a fuck what she thinks.
Largely was not impactful as a person on Fox Sports. And so the fact that you're willing to
They just
do
looked at her
this,
tits.
and I mean,
Like no one
according
cared
to
what
your
she
own
thought.
words, throw all your boundaries away, it doesn't mean that you're going to stay there. And it's the same thing when you look at somebody like Kayla Nicole. Kayla Nicole was dating Travis Kelce and then started her own podcast. She's supposed to be a sports writer, and she gets into all of these things. BET, she gets all these opportunities. But largely, guys, we're going to be honest. Kayla Nicole podcast sucks, okay? Nobody cares about what she has to say, whether it's dating, whether it's relationships, or whether it's sports. She's simply not good. And she doesn't have any real pull in the culture of commentary, whether it's sports related, relationship related, or otherwise. And we are seeing the same struggle here with Joy Taylor. She has a podcast, she probably has sponsors, but does she get any views? No. Joy Taylor does not have a good podcast. Now, can she give you good sound bites? Absolutely. Can she get on Paul Pierce's The Truth podcast and talk about men and talk about young men? Sure. Like, she's probably a good co-host with somebody else. But largely by herself, she's having the same issue that she's having on Fox Sports 1. Nobody wakes up in the morning to go and look at what Joy Taylor had to say. And then there was this reveal.
To the men, to the women that have men, to the women who have friends that have men, I want you to know, I do not want you. I do not want your man. This continues to happen to me where I will just be speaking to a man and either he or his girl or his girl's friend will say something to me like, oh, well, I really need to get back to my girlfriend. She's going to be upset that I'm talking to you. Why would she be upset?
Well, what do we have here? Joy Taylor feeling the need to come out and tell women that I don't want your man. And it's very interesting that their men are saying, listen, my girlfriend doesn't feel right with me talking to you. And then Joy Taylor saying, hey, listen, I don't want your man. But no, there's a reason, honey.
By the way, guys, I don't have a gut. That is the artifice of the shirt.
It only happens
As
when
you can
you have
see,
a reputation.
I'm not going to whip out the six pack, but I do have videos where you can see the six pack. I'm not going to break it out because dudes hate when I do that, and I understand why, because I wouldn't want to see other dudes' abs either.
Once she gets drunk. And if he doesn't watch her, she'll literally go out and dance and flirt with other guys in front of him. Yes, that's why you see these dudes handcuffing their women.
Letting you know,
not
like
that, because they know
only time I will be like having a gut is like after I've eaten like a large meal, where I just had like two hot dogs. Pause.
You might come off all real hardcore.
Did you guys say pause for everything now? It's not even gay.
But as you already said, if the person has the right amount of money and the right amount of looks.
Around July the 4th, you can't even eat hot dogs.
All of your morals aside and go ahead and get clapped up. And women understand that. They know when some other woman
like I said, she's overrated. Like, I don't know why people like her.
Like that. And once reputations blow around in the industry,
she just looks like a typical biracial chick
actually understand
who's middle-aged.
So the reason
why still trying to hold on to her,
say that is largely
onto her
because
beauty
you're
by
telling
first
yourself.
trapping.
And this is actually what happens in real life. When you really misplace your leverage and you don't really work hard at what the industry wants, and it's good to have connections, guys. Trust me, it's a great thing to be connected to something. People can help you out and you can get connected to the industry. That's great. But nobody can keep you in the
She
industry.
looks like a...
If you're not
that's what
that the world wants.
I realize what Joy Taylor looks like. Joy Taylor looks like a chubby, middle-aged version of Roxy Diaz that used to be on 106 in Park 20 years ago. Remember 106 in Park, Roxy?
Joy Taylor at ESPN.
She looks like Roxy if she was chubbier and middle-aged.
Largely because he was good. Now, obviously, he had a cheap clapping situation, and that got him ousted. But if he didn't, he would still be at ESPN. Why? Because Shannon Sharp is largely entertaining as a sports commentator. But Joy Hall never did anything to build up her career afterward. Didn't put in any work like Shannon Sharp did or like Stephen A. Smith did. Just didn't do it. And now, largely, she's paying the price. She's out of the industry. Nobody wants to go with her. And she's largely down bad. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy. Oh, shit, dude dancing.
Man.
Look at it again. Another episode. Oh,
it's just water. I know you like, what was he hitting? I guarantee it's not alcohol, it's just water. We're down.
You okay? I got a little see that.
Enjoy your car. Feels so right, it almost feels wrong. Now, gets you
just went down. Went down the wrong pipe.
Or get $10,000 customer cash.
Not that type of pipe.
Hyundai dealer today.
Done with wedding season?
Luckily, no one's watching.
Just a few snaps and let Depop do the rest.
But yeah, crazy. I hate when water, when you have a liquid, goes down the wrong pipe.
The American Farm
Speaking of which,
Federation is opposing the Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern merger because the rail giants won't say how they'll enhance competition and lower costs.
Trains are the lifeblood of rural economy. When you merge the two large ones, you get rid of the competition, somebody's going to pay the price. And I don't want to see it be small rural farmers.
The Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern merger is a raw deal.
Man.
Farmers and families need more rail competition and lower costs.
Good morning, welcome to Rising. We have another great show for you today. It is Thursday morning, and I'm here. I'm Robbie, and this is Lindsay.
What's up, Brad? How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
It feels like a holiday already. Everybody's getting it. It feels like Christmas spirit for July 4th. July 4th spirit. I mean, we'll see what the state fair does or the Great American Fair does. But other than that, people feel in jovial moods to be around DC.
Looking forward to the fireworks, although we might all be asleep by the time they actually start.
I saw that. Colin told me 11 p.m. Is that accurate?
I think after 11.
Really? Why? Okay, I missed that. So my daughter can't enjoy fireworks because we have to listen to the man speak.
Well, we might as well get into the politics then.
All right, what's on your radar?
Well, here in America, we've been enjoying our European World Cup visitors who have marveled at so much our great nation has to offer, from unlimited refills to the marvel that is Buc-ee's. And Europe has much to offer as well. I just returned from a trip there, and every time I go, I'm impressed by what I see and what I learn about our shared cultural history. But Europe has to get with the times when it comes to air conditioning. Many Americans don't know this, and if they do know it, we nevertheless don't understand it. But European countries are very opposed to air conditioning, even when it's extremely hot there, as it is now. In fact, there are numerous deaths from heat exhaustion in Europe each year. The old and the sickly are particularly vulnerable. According to the World Health Organization, 200,000 people have died from the heat in Europe in just the past several years. You know how liberals are always telling us that the U.S. is an outlier in terms of gun deaths and car crashes? Well, Europe's an outlier to an even greater degree in its idiosyncratic choice to simply allow people to suffer and die because of the heat. There are a lot of poorer countries, actually, that do use air conditioning at higher rates than Europe.
Yep.
My colleague at Reason Magazine, Matthew Petty, notes that 90% of homes in the UK do not have AC, and 80% of homes in the European Union. Now, to be clear, the problem isn't that there's too little money to afford AC. Poorer nations do have it. Europe just doesn't want to have it for a mix of aesthetic and environmental reasons, even though neither of these sets of reasons is really so valid. AC just needs energy to run, and if your energy sources are clean, great. The terrible tragedy that the progressive environmental movement has convinced everyone that the human condition is to just suffer for the good of the earth. We do not need to be sweaty and uncomfortable and more liable to die of heat stroke in order to preserve the world for our children. This is simply not mandatory. Yet Europe has a culture of shaming anyone who does dare to install an AC unit. In a lot of places, you have to get the community's permission. Sort of like what we do to homeowners in many American cities, forcing them to jump through all sorts of bureaucratic hoops in order to make changes to your own property. Now, that's bad, of course. Europe is much, much worse. At least we let people buy AC units. The European Union, though, actively discourages people from getting AC. It wants them to just use fans, which don't get the job done, in extremely hot weather. In France, the environmentalist left has a strong prohibition on AC. Matthew Fraser, a writer for The Spectator magazine, writes this: "The French left are overwhelmingly hostile to air conditioning. They say it contributes to global warming." For French politicians from left-wing ecologist parties who control several city councils, opposition to air conditioning is an inflexible doctrine asserted with quasi-religious fervor. In Paris, the ecologists push for the purchase of new buses without air conditioning. The consequences for commuters were disastrous, but supporters believe that suffering is regarded as necessary to awaken citizens to the coming apocalypse of climate change. Enduring the cruel afflictions of extreme heat is an expiatory ritual that expunges the sins of overconsumption in a society addicted to fossil fuels and nuclear power. Unquote. My European friends, this is sick and wrong. You shouldn't live like this. You deserve leaders who are, yes, much more chill on the AC issue. Good luck. And so do we, because, Lindsay, I saw Zoran Mamdani tweeting last night, "New Yorkers, please set your thermostat to 78 degrees to conserve."
When you're not in the house?
No, at all times. And he said we would do this in government buildings as well. 78 is unlivable.
Well, you know what? It's pretty freezing in this building. A little bit unlivable for me. We all come in here and freeze our behinds off.
Well, you can wear a sweater.
Excuse me. You've been cold in here too. Let me tell you something, and let me get to my point. The U.S. is, we use stuff
too cold. Wear more layers.
Okay,
Your layers.
I let you do a whole radar. May I? We are a wasteful country. I love.
Oh my God! Don't even start.
Whenever you're ready, let me
go ahead.
If you still have something to say, please.
Go ahead.
I'd like to.
I'm just prepared to be offended. Go ahead.
I'm offended that you don't like to conserve energy and save our environment, and globally you kind of shun other nations because you feel like they should be as wasteful as the U.S. is. Again, I love my country, but the U.S. on average uses more electricity per person than any other country.
So
Food waste. We waste more food than countries, most high-earning countries. We waste way more food than them per person. Water. We waste more water. We are wasteful. I think, meaning we let it run. Meaning we use more per person. Meaning as we get our water bills,
We like to enjoy our lives.
why is it enjoying if you're just letting it run endlessly and using resources?
The resources of the earth do not have rights or needs. They are for us to use to make our lives
Have you ever been to hotels throughout the United States versus hotels throughout Europe? I'm sure most hotels in Europe, and I've been to many, require you to have your key card, meaning you're in the room,
Right.
actually by the door to make sure the lights are on. And hotels here just allow us to leave the room, leave the TV on, leave the lights on, be wasteful. You understand what I'm saying? So around the globe, they found ways to better conserve and protect the environment. And you were completely uninterested in doing that. And you want to ridicule folks that tell you, let's find ways to protect and save our environment. In Europe, they've dramatically lowered carbon emissions. And so they are way better at protecting the environment than we have been. And some of these strategies are effective. You talk about people dying from heat exhaustion.
By the thousands.
Okay, that happens in every country, I'm pretty sure. But I can
No,
look
it
into
happens
that.
by the thousands in Europe.
Okay, but cleaner air when you protect the environment, guess what that leads to? That leads to less heart attacks, less strokes, less premature death, less asthma attacks. This is all what happens when you have clean air and you protect the environment. So if you want to talk about death, more people are protected with clean air.
Okay, but this has nothing to do with using AC itself. It has to do with what power source you're using to generate the energy for AC. You can use clean sources of energy. I'm for using clean sources of energy. I'm for nuclear power, something the entire environmental left movement shut down everywhere, even though that's clean and safe and affordable. I'm for moving away from fossil fuels. That's what's contributes to the problems you're describing. Sure. Of course, again, nuclear power is the
water. What else needed to water fan? Oh yeah. it is hot as a motherfucker. And matter of fact,
Congress struck another shady backroom deal. This time, they want to bring over 3,000 Chinese driverless vehicles to America, all to benefit Waymo. China's driverless vehicles will map our neighborhoods, our military bases, and our critical infrastructure. And the Chinese Communist Party will have it all. It's a grave threat to our national security. It's time to block this backroom deal and protect our country.
For using clean sources of energy. I'm for nuclear power, something the entire environmental left movement shut down everywhere, even though that's clean and safe and affordable. I'm for moving away from fossil fuels. That's what contributes to the problems you're describing, sure. Of course, again, nuclear power is the most reasonable alternative, and the left won't let us have that. So, you know, that's the solar power and wind and those sources are not, you know, good enough to fully replace fossil fuels yet. But the point, we don't need to, you can't be like, I expect you to suffer because, like, the purpose of the planet is for us to be comfortable and live on it.
Do you suffer with the fan on? The fan is quite nice.
Well, thousands of people die.
I have the ceiling fan on.
Well, that's
quite
nice.
nice.
I need the AC and a fan.
Yeah, because you are a wasteful American.
Well,
I'm so sorry to tell you that, Robbie. You fall in the category of wasteful American.
this bitch is crazy.
I'm just letting you know that's what you are.
Proud wasteful.
You are a proud wasteful American. And do you realize that Europe and the housing stock was built long before HVAC units were
You
really
with yourself with like the thing with like knots and thorns on it, like a fundamentalist Christian sect or something. Do you think suffering brings you closer to the divine? Like, I don't believe any of that.
Maybe
We are meant to be comfortable and happy and
I see what's happening here. Maybe there's a fundamental difference, Robbie. And you correct me if I'm wrong, in the way that we grew up. And so, for example, if I was washing dishes, right, my father would tell me, turn off the water while I'm sitting there just scrubbing the dishes, walking away, turn it off and rinse them all off at one time. He would tell me to turn off the lights behind me. It was a very serious matter. If I turned the house on 66, I would get yelled at. No, we're keeping it at a smooth 70 because these are, number one, his bills, and number two, it's very wasteful. We shouldn't have the door wide open and also the AC blasting.
Right, well, yes,
so these are things
but
that
you
we can
pay
do
for those things, and you don't want to waste your own money unnecessarily.
Right, but because
yes,
we want to live such luxurious
the
lives
faucet
as
off
Americans,
when
we are very
I
wasteful.
turn the lights
And if
off.
Europe is trying to find ways to balance the two, I don't see why we should ridicule them for strategies
They
that
have
they are
not found a
implementing.
balance at all. People are miserable there, and they die. Old and sick people die from the heat.
The average American produces roughly twice as much carbon pollution as the average European.
So?
That's what I have from that research. So then you just say you don't care about the environment.
I don't care.
You don't care about saving the future. You don't care about younger people
I'm not
growing
willing-
up and
I'm
not
not
having
willing-
all having asthma. You don't care about any of that stuff.
We will invent what will get us out of these energy issues and environmental harms. By the way, environmental harms, which are always and every time exaggerated and overstated by so-called experts. The predictions, the hockey stick predictions of how unlivable the Earth would be within the end of the decade, always wrong every single time. We're still here. They said we'd all have, burned to a crisp from global warming by now.
So, but I hate this analogy because just because it didn't go to the most extreme case, the fact that glaciers are still melting, we see that there's effects in green.
We don't live on glaciers.
No, but they're still melting. It affects the world. Like, think about somebody other than yourself and other than the
God,
U.S.
she's
The world needs to
fucking
make sure that ice ages
She says
and heat
dumb shit.
waves, the climate changes of its own accord and due to human activity to some degree.
Exactly, to human
And
activity.
we can
And so we're trying to
mitigate-
mitigate some of that. Stop criticizing
We're not
people for
gonna
going too
mitigate
far.
harm.
Let's just bring the pendulum back and actually try to save
by
and
living
protect our environment.
by suffering. Our suffering does not purge the planet's sins.
Robbie, when you leave your house, do you leave your AC running so you come back to a full house? Be honest.
Yes.
Okay, that's not right. You can easily turn to 78, like Zoran
If I'm
Mamdani
If I'm
suggested.
leaving for a long
No,
time.
I'm talking about for the
No,
day.
he did not
if your
say-
husband is gone and you're gone, do you let the house be cool? Just for, you have no pets in there, so you just let it be cool. I turn it up to about 78 and no one's in the house, like Zoran Mamdani's suggesting.
I do that if I'm going away, for the weekend or going on a trip, then I'll do that, yes.
But if you're coming home later today, We need it to be nice
No
and
one,
cool.
no one is gone for more than a few hours at a time.
But in those few hours, you see what I'm saying? Can conserve energy. So why? Yeah, exactly. You should. I
I like
want
it
you
to
to
be
be honest.
cool.
I want the audience to know. You know, Americans think mostly like you, and that's okay. But don't ridicule folks that are actually considering the repercussions of constantly overusing air conditioning.
So sorry to devastate you in this way. The climate apocalypse is not going to happen.
It doesn't have to be an apocalypse.
You're not going to
For
get
there to be major changes in our climate.
everyone who's predicted, oh, on this day, the earth will turn to a fiery ball of death and we'll all be disintegrated, have been as correct as the people that said on this day, alien mothership will pass overhead and rapture us all into the kingdom.
I'm really excited.
Our
I'm really excited for if you decide, and when you decide if or when to have children, and you want to see what happens with their children and their children, you think about that and consider these things, you'll start to
I'm
not
not
litter.
wanting them to turn
You'll
off
start
the
to
water,
turn off
so
the
they're not
AC.
wasting my,
Don't tell them to turn off the water.
because
You're
it's
going
not
to change your
wasting my
perspective.
bill.
Only because of money?
Yes,
Money is the only thing that drives your concern here. Okay.
correct.
Well, we just got to leave it there.
And I don't want to live under Zoran Mamdani's socialist.
Yeah, pardon him for trying to make sure that we save the environment.
Speaking of Democratic socialists, candidate for Congress is going viral after describing the 9/11 attacks as inevitable. We'll be right back.
Need a new mattress but confused by all the choices? At Mattress Firm, we make it easy. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with the perfect mattress. Now, get 0% interest for 72 months on Tempur-Pedic. Mattress Firm, we make sleep easy.
Socialist takeover in the Democratic Party continues. Colorado became the latest state to nominate a DSA candidate this week as newcomer Milat Quiros won the state's first congressional district.
Well, like I said,
However,
if you don't want
stirred up
socialists
controversy for saying in an interview
to
last
start
week that
taking
September
over the
11th
government, stop
attacks on the United
allowing
States were
the super wealthy to
inevitable. Quote,
wave their big money dicks in front of everyone's faces. Keep saying it.
Destabilized a lot of the Middle East, that forced people to believe that another act of violence was the only response.
You want people to
And
think capitalism
again,
works.
just like I said
Stop
before,
letting
it's
super
possible
wealthy
leads
people
to
flash their big
getting rid
money
of those
dicks in front of
conditions that lead to violence in the
everyone
first
else's face.
Quiros was only 4 years old when 9/11 happened, but is now likely to advance to Congress after winning the primary, joining other young Democratic socialists like Daria Lisa, Avila Chevalier, and Claire Valdez.
You can't go one day without saying Daria Lisa.
Well,
Avila Chevalier.
some sick people, so I want to keep reminding
All right.
our viewers
Okay.
they're going to be making decisions for us all now.
So you know what's so interesting? Spencer Pratt had something interesting and similar to say, except he just basically said that he thought the whole 9/11 was kind of, you know, I don't know what he said. He said some nonsense about 9/11. He said I can actually look up.
You know what?
I mean, Spencer Pratt,
He said something
and he's
very dumb about it.
very dumb about 9/11. And so, what would you like me to say? You were saying that he is the best thing since sliced bread 2 weeks
I
ago.
never said that.
You said that he is a much better option than Mayor Bass, and you don't like people who have conspiracy theories around 9/11. You just said that, and so why are you supporting him?
Okay, but
not supporting.
He said that before he was a politically active person in like a previous iterate. Like he doesn't stand by that now. So that's the important difference. She says this now. This is what she believes now. And by the way, there's a way to say this that is not offensive. Because I too disagree with American foreign policy and involvement in the Middle East. And one of the bad things about our involvement in the Middle East was that it provoked or invited terrorist attacks against us. You can say that, but when you say it's inevitable that it would happen, it makes it sound like you're justifying it or agreeing with it or say we deserved it. So you can just very clearly say we should be less involved in the Middle East, and if we were less involved in the Middle East, perhaps we would actually be safer, without saying it was inevitable or deserved or justified, which is what she's implying and what she believes.
You're saying
Because like the rest of her comrades, she
you're making her say something different. You want her to word it different, but mean similar things to what your statement is. The UN decided to put sanctions on Iraq in the 1990s, which affected a lot of Middle Eastern countries. And so there are things that actually happen and decisions that the U.S. and the wider allies around the U.S. have made that have affected
those things?
that
understand
know
their
who.
position on sanctions. They seem totally inconsistent.
How are they inconsistent?
You want sanctions
No, I
on
want us
Russia?
not to go to war. I want Russia to be sanctioned. I'm saying we're getting rid of Russian sanctions in order to get progress in
You think
Iran.
Iran
That makes no sense.
in the 90s, which invaded their neighbor Kuwait, was less of a bad actor than Russia?
I'm telling you that it puts sanctions. The U.S. is deciding to be a world power and oversee the entire Middle East, which has left us to a detriment. A lot of these Middle Eastern countries that we have intervened in have not been left in ideal circumstances. And so we've gotten involved, put sanctions forward, and leave people where? All the civilians that are there in what positions? And so I'm asking if those civilians that felt like they have been deeply and profoundly affected by the decisions made by the U.S. are frustrated. She's pointing to the fact that we decided to
Civilians
intervene.
in Russia too.
Okay, she's pointing, and they're literally attacking Ukraine, which is really close to all of our allies.
Well, Iran attacked Israel, or Iran funds terrorist groups to attack Israel. I mean, look, I'm not actually.
You're arguing just to be contrarian, and what I'm telling you is that your position is not the hers. And so if you're listening to what she's saying, no, you want her to say it ever so eloquently when you don't make the president speak ever so eloquently. She's saying it exactly how she's saying it. And so you request one thing from one type of candidate because they're a Democrat or because she has socialist in her title, but you don't request that from anybody else.
I requested from her because
she's Ethiopian.
No,
because people are saying she hates America because she's Ethiopian. Like, no, tell me why you don't request that from others.
I didn't know that she was Ethiopian. I would not have been able to. Now I know. I had no idea what her ethnicity or origin, or I wouldn't have been able to tell you. She's Ethiopian. That's great. I'm not even sure I can put Ethiopia on a map. Don't care at all. I care about the things she says and the way she feels about this country. And the way she feels about this country is that it is morally to blame for everything that
You're
goes
sourcing
wrong.
old statements, the same old statements that you don't look to when you look at Spencer Pratt.
I know,
So you want to look at old
I don't care about
I know, but you want to talk about old statements before she's in politics. The interview we're referencing is from last week that we came into the segment with, and she said something that you, on a large scale, macro level, I agree with.
Is running to be mayor of Los Angeles to oversee how Los Angeles operates. She is going to be in the National Congress overseeing my life and the foreign policy of the United States.
And you pretty much agree with her that we have been involved in foreign policy in a variety of ways that could possibly open ourselves up to terror attacks. And that might be a risk that we may have taken intentionally.
I do agree that
or not intentionally, because we have the capacity to protect ourselves.
We deserve 9/11.
Did she say the word deserve?
So guys, I'm looking at my live stream as I'm running the live stream.
That's what I'm saying. All these articles.
I didn't realize they ran ads in the live stream. I thought they only did that with like pre-recorded videos. So that's interesting that they will run ads during the live stream.
And again,
so I wonder how that works with me like talking or doing whatever. That's interesting.
Destabilized the Middle East. She didn't say anything. So all this mischaracterization of what the girl
Then I
said,
see, because I'm watching it, so it's going to count me in the chat room. But when the ads come on, everyone disappears. So I'm thinking people disappear. People just left the chat, and now I realize it's not people left the chat. It's the lot when the ads come in. You can no longer see people in the chat room. So that's kind of that throws me for a loop, because I'm thinking people just like bounce, and they didn't actually bounce. It's because of the ads.
Point out that she's Ethiopian. It rings the same bell that it rings when I see the current president say Barack Hussein Obama constantly to try to remind folks that want to be racist that, well, maybe he's not an American and he doesn't belong to have any say-so in federal government.
Okay.
And so that's the alarm bell that's being rung just because this woman is saying what you actually think.
People are objecting to these characters
saying
they hate America, and you're saying, oh, you're racist.
On what basis does she hate America? She literally said something that we've destabilized the Middle East, which we have. People agree that we've done that in recent history and decades ago. People will all agree on all sides of the aisle.
As I made clear in our birthright citizenship discussion yesterday, I don't care if you were born here to illegal immigrants, or if you came here from Africa or South America, or if you have ancestry to the Mayflower and are white and blonde. I don't care whatsoever. I only care about how you view this country and what policies you want for it.
And I named
these
your
are
policies.
destructive
I named
policies.
specific policies. She
All
wants
those
to
policies
increase
you named are
medical
bad, and I
coverage for
oppose.
people that cannot afford basic care properly, right? She wants to expand that. She wants to expand housing protection so that tenants aren't getting taken advantage of in the same way that Mom Donnie
Those
has done in
policies
New York. She wants to
raise-
expand child
increase
care
housing
for folks that do
availability
not
everywhere
have.
they're
She wants to
tried.
expand child care for folks who do not have access to child care. As a mom, I can understand how crucial that is. If I was in a position where I couldn't afford that, that would be crucial to me continuing my life and in the workplace, continuing this American dream. If I couldn't afford childcare, which is extremely expensive, Robbie, she's
Then don't have
advocating
fucking
for those
kids.
policies. And as somebody who looks specifically at policies and listens to
If you
interviews
can't
word for
afford
word,
childcare,
I'll mischaracterize what she said historically and say
if
right
you
now she's going to
can't
move that way.
afford
She's
to have
campaigning on
kids,
specific ideas.
We disagree on
common
that.
sense is
I
don't have
utterly
fucking
oppose
kids.
those policies. I think they're terrible ideas and should not be done.
That's what a lot of people are doing. A lot of
Yeah,
people
you
are
say
foregoing
that.
having kids
This woman
because they
hates
can't
America,
afford
and
it.
that's untrue.
Because that is the smart thing to
No,
do
she doesn't think
when
we
you
should
can't
be
afford
You're
it.
mischaracterizing on purpose what she said when we played it twice in the audience.
And then boomers will,
Journalist Glenn
and then
Greenwald
boomers
said,
will
"We lost
have a
our
problem with it
swing
either
there.
way.
The U.S. wasn't chosen
If you're not
randomly.
having
The first
children,
decades
the
of
boomers
US
be like,
violence
oh, they're not
and
having
the
children
dominance
anymore.
of
They
the
don't want to
media
have
played a
families.
significant role in the attack, forcing
The
people to
you know,
defend
the
the
belief
true
in
as
the
solemn reverence
nuclear
of the
family
attack
is
is
gone.
oppressive, deceitful. It's
And
like
then if they
saying
do
that
have
Israeli
families,
violence and
and then they're
repression played no
and then
role
they're
in the October 7th attacks.
they're
Yeah, it's
dependent
like that, and I
on the
would say
government for
that,
welfare, like
there.
So you,
But you
like
I
you know
disagree with her
TNF
policy, but you
or
cannot say this woman is not saying something that's on the minds of many Americans.
Section 8
You think it's
or
on the minds of many Americans that
Yes,
food stamps or whatever,
one of the top issues under
then
the
they'll be
law.
like,
I mean, it's why
they
MAGA is
why
is
they
breaking.
having kids and making the taxpayers pay for it if they can't afford them. So with boomers, you can't even win. If you do the sensible thing, which is what a lot of millennials and Gen Z are doing, they're just saying, well, we're not gonna have kids, I can't afford it. And they're gonna be like, well, you guys don't believe in family, you don't believe in America anymore. If you do go ahead and have kids, even though you can't afford them, then they're gonna be like, you're being irresponsible. You shouldn't be having kids and making taxpayers pay for it. You can't win either way. So just do what's rational for you.
Nearly all come
If
from
it's
China.
rational
It
for you
doesn't
not
have
to have
be
kids,
that way.
don't have
Florida's
kids,
phosphate
and
used to
then
grow
be sitting there
food
talking about
creates
you
a
can't afford
byproduct
childcare,
called
and then trying to force
phosphogypsum,
socialism
stored for
on everyone
decades,
else
rich
for
in
your
rare earths,
short-sightedness.
and ready to meet America's supply.
For generations, we've been moved by the American.
Lindsay, I'm dying to know what's in your lens today.
You know what? If you're going to keep talking about Daria Lisa Chevalier, I'm going to keep talking about Trump's finances. There's an old saying that the presidency is not a public trust, or it is a public trust. It's not a business, actually. That's why the Constitution includes the emoluments clause to prevent presidents from using the office for personal financial gain or benefiting from foreign governments, which is why the president's latest round of financial disclosures deserves more than a quick glance. Even one of President Trump's biggest supporters, Megyn Kelly, says she's uncomfortable with what she's seeing.
I don't feel great about our leaders. I'm not going to lie. I'm disappointed with some aspects of the Trump presidency, for sure. Like the Iran war, that's number one. It's so grifty. I'm not going to lie, it's grifty. You know, the Trump family is grifty. There's been like story after story about all the money that his sons are making off of the government, these government contracts they're getting, all that. I can't stand that stuff.
Grifty. Kelly went on to make excuses, though, and say she still loves Trump and his sons and still believes this presidency is better than what she believes a Kamala Harris presidency would have been. The numbers don't lie, though. President Trump's latest financial disclosure shows he made at least $2.2 billion after returning to the White House, with roughly $1.4 billion tied to cryptocurrency ventures. About $500 million came from World Liberty Financial, the crypto company he launched alongside his sons. Then there's the Kazakhstan mining deal. According to reports from the New York Times, a U.S.-backed mining venture secured rights after negotiations involving the Trump administration. Within weeks, investors connected to a financial firm partly owned by Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump acquired a 20% stake in the entity tied to that deal. The White House has denied any wrongdoing, and Trump's sons say they played no role in those negotiations. President Trump insists there's no conflict. He told reporters, quote, well, I've made a lot of money before I became president, and they invest my money, and I don't talk to them. I don't even speak to them. This is the investor. He says he doesn't speak to his team at all about finances. And that's ultimately for Americans to judge. Plenty of presidents have been wealthy, so this isn't about him being successful. The question is whether anyone, Republican or Democrat, should be able to financially benefit while holding the most powerful office in the entire world, particularly when those profits come from industries the administration regulates, or business relationships, or deals that appear to overlap with government policy. Public trust matters. The size of these profits is astronomical. Now, I imagine this story will pass as the rest, with supporters saying, oh, well, that's just Trump. But a story like this would have dominated every conversation not that long ago. Today, many Americans barely even blink. I'm not sure if that's
because we don't
people
care.
believe nothing will change,
It's more important things to be worrying about.
ethical concerns, or because we've simply been exposed to so much controversy that we've all become desensitized. Which one is it for you? Because it has to be three options.
Well, that's just Trump.
That's ridiculous.
What you said, I'd say.
Yeah, I know that's the case.
No,
I see how you,
I'll be more.
even Megyn Kelly has an issue with this, but then still making the excuses part that I don't get. I didn't continue to play her soundbite, but to give perspective, she went on to say that I really like his sons, and I think they're nice, but they're grifters. But when you call people like Candace Owens grifters,
How you gonna say they're nice, but they're grifters?
It's like aggressive.
Has Megyn called?
I'm not gonna call someone I like a grifter. Not publicly. I may think it. I may even say it in private conversations to other people. But I'm not gonna say publicly that someone's a grifter if I like them. Not publicly.
What it means is that she's making money.
She sounds like the grifter.
People who follow her, and she doesn't really believe what she's saying, which she might really believe what she's saying. I don't know. In terms of the Trump family enrichment,
she may not believe what she's saying.
No, I do find it gross and bad, and many Americans do. The problem is, and I've said this many times,
Drink water, guys. Drink water.
There's just no way to express my
drink water.
Disapproval of the personal corruption here without, so then what? Then I'm supposed to support the Democrats whose policies I don't like even more. I'm speaking for like a conservative American or something. Like, Trump's corrupt, but the Democratic Party wants trans women to compete against women. They want higher taxes. They want more regulation on my business. They want well, I'm just saying, in all honesty, like, okay, I don't like Trump's corruption. I wish I could vote for some other or approve of some person with the same policies who was not as corrupt or whose family was not obviously getting rich from whatever these schemes are. But I can't. My choices are this guy or policies I don't agree with.
Yeah, but
this is what I'm saying is it's the two-party system.
I know, but let's point to like taxes. They're the same things. Like this is a quote from Robbie. Tariffs are taxes, and so if you would have just went with Kamala, let's say, you would have had the same type of taxes.
I was speaking from the standpoint of someone who likes and agrees with Trump's policies.
But a lot of people disagree with the policy, and a lot of people feel uncomfortable with the fact. A lot of people disagree with the policy specifically
you can't see my eyebrows on here.
Something different
I didn't shave them.
Providing in regards, most importantly, to foreign policy. In regards, most importantly, to the economy.
Well, I did what I guess you're calling on me to do because I voted third party. I did not have satisfaction with Trump or Kamala.
But people, the same outlets that say that there's a left-leaning bias in mainstream media can report and cover this intensely because this is an abuse of our government. We have an emoluments clause for this reason. And so when we look at the president and just look in recent weeks in the way that his crypto business has skyrocketed, in the way that he's invested directly in the parent company of UFC, the way that he directly has a relationship with Paramount, and he put those two entities on the White House lawn, getting funded privately and using taxpayer dollars, and profited from those ventures. When we look at all the ways that the president is personally profiting, when he has a for-profit, non-profit.
Honestly, I wish he ran for a third term. I don't even care. I would just love to see the leftists crash out, seeing him run for a third term. And he actually win. I would love to see the crash out. I would love to see. He's a king. He's a dictator. He's the emperor.
So which policies? Kamala likely wouldn't have implemented all those tariffs.
needs to do something
And so maybe it'd be just
to
like
make
Biden.
them
Guess
really
what?
crash
Biden
out
has
this
lower
year.
gas prices than we do right now. All right, so this is what I'm
You know,
saying.
the biggest thing he could do to probably make them crash out is
and
to
President Trump has taken a
push forth things on their own Democratic agenda,
We'll never know. I don't know what
I know, but you can look back at polls and
or
think about
progressive
the fact that
agenda,
people have something to go off
but
of. Is that
put
the
his
president
name
not
on it,
only is
and they
taking
will hate it,
advantage of
even though it's
taxpayers
part of
and
their
taking advantage
agenda,
of relationships
simply
that he has.
simply by virtue of that he did it and not them.
On people that Gavin Newsom now supports, and
That would be a
much
good way,
of the
a
Democratic
nice
Party
way
is
to make them
moving
crash
toward.
out.
So maybe people don't want massively higher taxes, and that's why they would prefer Trump. Something that has motivated human voting behavior for
I mean, more than
decades.
one instance. Kamala probably wouldn't have had ice in the middle of American cities and 2 people dead. You know, there's a lot of
A
policies.
lot of people would see that as a negative, that she would not be willing to enforce immigration law the way Trump was. In fact, that's Trump's most winning issue and her most losing issue.
So when you leave
that's the
here
reason for
$5 billion up, you're just
It
like,
sure
well,
was.
that's our
One of the
government.
reasons
And
why I
we said
voted
as a
for him and
precedent
not
that
her.
anybody who comes in here and actually just profit off of their relationships in the government, work with foreign
I mean, I think
governments,
some
take
people-
gifts from foreign governments.
One of
and
the
that's
main
all
reasons I
okay.
voted for him and
And
not for her.
Oh, he's buying drones from the company that his sons are invested in with our military money, tax dollars. I mean, this is ridiculous. His sons turned a golf course in Florida into a drone creation facility, and now have invested in a drone company that our government is purchasing drones from. It's ridiculous. It doesn't get any more connected dots than that.
Some of this stuff is just is inevitable.
It's not inevitable.
We have to. Okay, so
People were crying about Biden's son working in any form of relationships that Biden might have facilitated. People were crying.
That is
about
true.
that. And I even said that's wrong.
That's
We
true.
are whining over and over again. Maybe at the top issue, Hunter Biden should not have a job, should not be using his dad's favor with foreign government. Okay, I agree with you. Say
Well,
that
another
right
reason
now.
they
The
say that is
president's
because he's
son
like a
should not be
crackhead.
benefiting globally
Okay.
because he's the
Like,
mostly this
Most people wouldn't be able to get multi-million-dollar jobs where they have to do nothing
or any Democrats
just
who
by
admit that
virtue
it
of their
was maybe
last
a
name.
problem that Hunter Biden was being paid
If he wasn't, if
lucratively
then
by
last,
foreign
if he
energy
wasn't
companies
Biden,
when his dad on the phone.
when
There was
the same
widespread
person's
denial
also
of
a
A,
crackhead,
that had happened and been B,
caught
that
with
was bad.
hookers
So
and
okay,
blow.
fine, maybe you're not one of those people. Fine. Some of these examples you mentioned make me uncomfortable as well.
None of
Some
Trump,
of them,
none of
I
Trump's
don't know,
children was
we gotta buy
are
drones. We
crackheads.
specifically don't buy it from the company that Trump has an investment in. Oh, I just want them to buy it from whichever company is offering the best deal to the United States of America. I don't know which company that is.
Everything is such a grift, like Megyn Kelly's saying. The man who had oversight over the reflecting pool, which went horribly wrong, was a neighbor of President Trump who had no experience in that type of.
What do you want me to say? Voters
He gave him millions of dollars to do nonsense and mess up something that.
The American people had full knowledge of the things they're accusing Donald Trump of and said we would prefer Donald Trump anyway. Because the policies of the Democrats are more ruinous in their view. And because we just have a two-party system where there's two choices effectively, there's really no way to police your own side. And I think that's very bad, but that's the system that we have. And that's why don't people care? People care. They just think it can't be fixed. And politicians are all corrupt. And they're not going to vote to make themselves less corrupt. They're not going to vote to ban stock trading or whatever. And Trump is no worse than any of the others is the view of many American people, and it can't be fixed. So you got to learn to live with it.
Well, that leads us perfectly into our next segment because up next, Tucker Carlson said he's going to start his own political party. That's the answer. Stick around.
Tucker Carlson made a stunning revelation in an interview with the Columbia Journalism Review published Wednesday. He told the outlet, quote, "I'm going to help build a third party. There should be a good faith effort to figure out what benefits the country. I mean, if you make $60,000 a year, you're degraded, your life expectancy has gone down, and the promises of your children's lives is likely gone. No one seems to care. It's not even a factor."
Carlson, however, said he doesn't want to be a candidate himself. He added that there's really no difference between Democrats and Republicans when it comes to war and finance, saying, quote, "That's not a democracy. That's a one-party state posing as a democracy, and it needs to be broken. And there's going to be a third party, and I'm going to do everything I can to bring that about."
Reactions were mixed, with some Republicans saying Carlson would be helping Democrats. Conservative political commentator Laura Loomer said on X, "Now the question is, will J.D. Vance join the third party, or will he finally condemn and confront Tucker Carlson before Tucker torpedoes J.D.'s 2028 presidential campaign?" She added Vance
Would that be
will
friends?
not join but question why Carlson would run a party against the vice president.
That is his friend, so that's a good question.
Oh, they are
Tucker
friends. Okay.
is going to find
So
out
that answers my question.
that this is easier said than done. Elon Musk has talked about starting a third party, or Andrew Yang wanted to start a third party. The problem is you have to get getting on the ballot in 50 states.
Well, I still see Happy Father's Day post on Instagram.
Drives, because it's based on what percentage of the
How many
votes
days
you
ago
got
was that?
last time. It was complicated
A week
election
ago.
rules that make it so the Republican Party and Democratic Party have massive institutional advantage. To get on the ballot as a third party, it's different in every state what you have to do. It would be better, instead of starting a new third party, would be to like take over one of the existing third parties, the Green Party or the Libertarian Party, which already have some considerable ballot access, although even like the Libertarian Party lost access in DC because of some mismanagement by the party, frankly. So like I had to write in my the name of the Libertarian guy last time around because they went on the ballot. And then the result of it, what? Your third party, these third parties tend to get between 0 and 3% of the votes, if that. I think the Libertarian Party, I think, got like 3% in maybe 2016, which was a high water mark. Like it's a hard thing to pull off because people tend to break for one of the two major parties because they feel like it's throwing away your vote. So I don't actually expect this to hurt J.D. Vance at all because I don't expect much of it to come of it.
Okay, well, I remember.
I'm in favor of it, to be clear.
Okay.
It'd be hard.
I remember when Elon Musk was threatening the same thing, and the tone changed quickly from them name calling and Elon Musk telling Trump, "What's why you're in the Epstein files," and trying to have a bombshell report, to Trump picking up the phone perhaps and trying to make amends with Elon Musk because he understood that if Elon Musk continues forth with his large audience of people that usually align with the president and Elon, that would be detrimental to key races where there's a small margin of folks who might be frustrated with the president when it comes time for a general election. We're not talking about primary voters that have been allegiant to the president. We're talking about these big elections coming up where it could be between a Democrat and a Republican. So it could cause them to lose seats. You talk about all the time that Tucker Carlson is not actually in politics. He might have one of the largest conservative audiences in media, but he's not actually in politics. Well, here he is now involving himself directly in politics. And so you talk about this audience that he has of millions of people that constantly listen to these ideas and perspectives that he has that are challenging consistently the administration and what it said it would do versus what it's actually doing. And now he's taking that next step. And so if conservatives are not concerned, or I should say Trump and MAGA are not concerned, or even the split part of MAGA that's still with Trump is not concerned, they would be remiss. When you look at 1992, Ross Perot got 19% of the vote, and it directly affected Republicans. And that's a real circumstance that can come out of somebody being a popular candidate. And so Tucker Carlson now has 2 years until a general election, and then all the small elections in between there. And so if he's that loud and that rambunctious to turn people off in these big major elections and even small ones, that can cause direct change that will affect House seats, Senate seats, and can also affect the next presidency. And specifically, if he does move forward with his party, I know J.D. Vance is his friend, that would directly affect J.D. Vance. I don't think a lot of the Democratic voters are going over to Tucker Carlson's new party. So that would directly affect, if it's a small margin.
I don't know. There are some lefties who have some newfound appreciation for Tucker because of how outspoken he's been on Gaza.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens there. But I think if we talk about that same 19% that Ross Perot got, that will deeply affect somebody who's aligned, has had they have a friendship with.
You don't even have to get to that level. I mean, the Trump campaign in 2024 did feel the threat of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., even though he initially run as a Democrat and was running as an independent. It was clear he was drawing Trump supporters
and women supporters because of his MAGA,
right.
Maha agenda.
So Trump neutralized that by bringing him on board.
So if let's say J.D. Vance runs or Rubio runs, and then Tucker Carlson's getting this loud, well, guess what? You got to bring somebody with the Tucker Carlson voice on board, and that is a win for people who support Tucker Carlson's ideas, because that means now, the same way we're looking at Democratic socialists, now we're a part of the main party, like we're a vice president on a ticket. Our ideas have to be heard and seen. We have large representation in major decision making, and that's a win win for Tucker Carlson, who feels like he goes largely unheard by politicians. He just said the other day, I have no power over politicians. I tried to stop President Trump from going to war with Iran. I have no power. It didn't work. So this will provide direct power if his agitation leads to inclusion.
If anyone's watching this on replay, just want to let you know that I was fine. I drank some water too quickly. It went down my windpipe instead of my esophagus. That's why I was coughing violently to get the get the water out my windpipe. But I am fine. I don't want people, because people might watch this and be like, damn, what the hell just happened to him? So I'm fine. Okay, it's not the first time that's happened. I was just drinking my water too quickly. But do drink water. It's hot. It's 100 degrees here in Maryland. But with the humidity, it was more like 113 degrees. That's why I told my friend, hell no, I'm not going to the gym today. Just like I told him yesterday. It was 97 yesterday. And with the humidity, it was like 100 something degrees. It was worse today. And it's going to be bad tomorrow as well. I think the heat is going to dissipate a little bit on July the 4th. But I am not prepared to go to the gym tomorrow as well. But I'm fine. For people who will watch this, be like, damn, I'm good.
All right. Kamala Harris has reportedly met with several high-profile Democratic socialists, oh boy, fueling speculation about her plans for 2028. Stay with us.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris is reportedly trying to get cozy with some more left-wing Democrats, fueling speculation of the 2028 run. According to Axios, she privately called Zohran Mamdani last week, and she's been holding closed-door meetings with Palestinian activists. Axios reports Harris called Mamdani to speak about the party's future just 2 days after 3 candidates whom the mayor had endorsed swept their primary races. She also reportedly met with AOC in Chicago back in April, and last week met with the co-founder of the Uncommitted movement in Detroit. That movement declined to endorse Harris in the 2024 general election, which some have suggested helped Trump win several key Midwest swing states.
Oh, Kamala. Look, she's trying to do damage control because the very left people who are so ascendant right now on the Democratic side don't like her. They didn't like her stance on Israel, Gaza. They think she was way too equivocal, and she was, of course, part of the Biden administration that they thought was absolutely awful on this issue. So there's still lingering resentment toward her. It's interesting that she feels like she needs to, the fact that she thinks she needs to go and try to repair that relationship suggests to me she wants to run for president, because I don't know why you'd bother humiliating yourself, groveling to these people, unless you want them to, they're not going to support you. She wants to mute their criticism of her. It's an interesting move.
Well, she lost support from large swaths of Muslim population, specifically in Michigan, and she said she met with some leaders in Michigan. And so, to me, it's important for presidential hopeful that she's going to go that direction to meet with different factions of your party, especially ones that are growing in popularity, and coming to terms about what they're looking for. A lot of the complaints, whether it was the Democratic autopsy report, whether it was people just complaining online, whether it was AOC type characters, were that voices were not being heard in the party. Young people were not being heard. A lot of young people equally feel strongly both on the Democratic and Republican side about our support for Israel and how that needs to be modified in these times. And so if Kamala has no stance on that whatsoever, but to be tethered to the Biden administration, she will have to figure out how to navigate that same strategy once again, since people are even more embedded in what happens in the Middle East due to the fact that we're at war overall. And so not only does she need to rectify her relationship with young people, she needs to rectify her relationship with the progressive wing of the party that feels that they were completely isolated, to the point that they almost allowed and aided Trump in winning by not supporting her in places like Michigan that were really important.
Well, a lot of people, a lot of Democrats in Michigan felt like Trump's views on the very salient Israel issue at the time were more progressive than Kamala's, because Kamala was part of the administration and famously said she wouldn't have done anything differently, whereas Trump said needed to come to an end the violence in Gaza immediately, and then did when elected to try to work out a ceasefire and end to the violence. I think since then it's gone pretty awry, and we're back to where we were beforehand. Although things are not, I think, there's not as many people dying in Gaza on a daily basis, which is good. But so there's dissatisfaction with how Trump has handled this too. But there's going to be AOC herself probably in the race in 2028. So it's not like Kamala's going to get the support of these people. So I'm not really sure what this means. She just wants them to stop fighting about her.
So I think what's really exciting about the 2028 election is that there are no incumbents, and so it's a really exciting time for both parties to figure out what the direction is. For the last year or more years, we've been talking about parties swaying and changing because of Trump on the Republican side, because of progressives on the Democratic side, and so we're about to see a point of culmination on where the party is decidedly going, right? Bernie Sanders felt left out twice when he tried to run for president. He was kind of pushed to the side by the establishment. Now Chuck Schumer may or may not have a job. I mean, these conversations are happening in tandem, and I think the fact that we are going into a presidential election where there's no guarantee, like, okay, this person's already in office, we got to have them again. It's going to show you what the appetite is across the board as voters speak up and say what they're looking for, and people have to actually get out and campaign against other people that have similar ideas, but maybe more aggressive policies towards 1, 2, or 3 things, and you'll see what people want. And I think that that's really exciting. When we talked about J.D. Vance and Rubio, you're going to see exactly, if those are the 2 final candidates, that it really comes down to what people exactly are looking for, what's more important to that. If you look at the Democrats, whether it's like a Gavin Newsom type or a Kamala or an AOC, is really important to see what people are looking for. And so when a lot of people, from Charlemagne to the biggest analysts in politics, say Democrats feel like they're not listened to, skipping over a whole swath of people in this part of the party, well, Kamala, it would be remiss if she skips over and doesn't talk to these people about what went wrong the last time. Obviously, a lot of things went wrong. She blamed the timing in her book. She blamed the fact that she only had a little more than 100 days. Well, now, if you're going to go back and say you really needed the full amount of time, what are you going to do with that time if you are the candidate? Because otherwise, you'll just let the entire party down, and you won't win again, and it'll be a disaster that was almost handed to you because Trump fatigue is going to be inevitable like it was last time, and there'll be wind beneath the wing, knowing that the policies that he implemented didn't affect Americans in the way that he intended them to, and so people will be frustrated. So Democrats naturally have that. If it keeps going how it's going for the last year or so, Democrats will have that win to propel them into the presidential election.
Propel Kamala? I mean, she is an incumbent of sorts. She was in a presidential administration.
But not president, though. She wasn't president.
I actually don't think Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance are going to run against each other. I think Marco Rubio is just going to let J.D. Vance take this one, and then he's going to think he might lose, and then Marco will go for it the time after. Why have this bruising fight against the vice president? I mean, they're friendly with each other, and this is going to be a hard election. It's going to be a hard election for the Republicans because of the unpopularity of the administration. There's going to be the energy on the Democratic side. And incumbency is a negative advantage. Incumbency used to be an advantage. Now it's a negative advantage because it's just your faults. The media is so negative. There's constant attention to everything you're doing wrong.
Right.
Whereas we used to be more conservative in our not like psychologically conservative. Like,
right.
Stay the course. Don't change horses in the middle of the street. Like that was kind of like, don't shake things up. Now it's like shake, 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 shake. So there will be advantages for the Democrats this time around, I think. But I don't think those will be inherited by Kamala Harris.
Well, you know my piece.
Who will have disadvantage.
I'm providing the alternative perspective to why it's important for her to do this. My perspective of my own, which I said, is, again, Kamala is extremely qualified for this position and was not given the full amount of time. There should have been a proper contest to figure out who should have been the next president, and Biden should have dropped out and been an intentional one-term president.
Well,
but since that didn't happen, and since we had what we had, now she is now tethered to the Biden administration
so badly.
And so she should sit this one out and perhaps come back around. I think she should have ran for California governor. I think she would have won that easily. But hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
But I don't know that this is the time for her to jump back in. But if she wants to, more power to her.
I think she should not, but you don't go and humiliate, grovel before the Democratic Socialists unless you intend to. That does it for us on Rising Live. Thanks for watching, and look out for more exclusive YouTube content coming your way later today. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Hills YouTube channel so you never miss anything we're doing. And for those of you who like to listen on the go, we're available anywhere you find podcasts. See ya.
And I'm gonna go to my friends. Peace out, guys.